Good morning, all you blockers out there. Are we ready for block number 7? Welcome to Tuesday. Today our block is our checkers block, and this was my interpretation of the checkers. But I'm going to tell you, I am not real happy with this block. So when you see this block, and then you see what I have listed down below here, you will see that it is something entirely different, and I like that so much better. And sometimes you're going to have that. You're going to have something that you really just can't get into after you've made it. I'm not going to discard it because, like I said, I have 4 or 5 of these that I'm doing, and I'll throw it into another one. But it's just that it wasn't really appealing to me. So when you are doing your colors, when you are picking your colors, please make sure, lay them out, see what you think before you actually kind of go to it. That's why we have this whole wall set up, so that you can kind of step back. And if you do not have your blue blocks, which over here, these are the blue blocks. These would be what we consider our blue blocks, my floral blocks. And go ahead and get those cut out 12 and a half, 12 and a half, so that you can set those alongside with your blocks, so you can kind of start placing your blocks where you would like to keep those and see what kind of variations you're still needing within your quilt. We're kind of at that point right now that we really have to start investigating colors and what we're lacking, okay? Or what we have too much of. And so anyway, this was the first block that I made of the checker, but I am switching that now to a whole different setup. So what you are going to need today is, here go ahead and have these, what do I want to say, A, B, C, D on down, so that you can go ahead, number them, letter them, whatever you want to call it. But your first that you're going to need are 4-inch, one color, plain blocks. And then for B, we have little mini squares, and you need 4 of those at 1.25 inches, all one color. And for C, these are going to be your strips that are in between the blocks. These you need 12 at 1.25 inch by 4 inches. And all of that would be one color. For D, these are the small block squares. You have 2 of those, 2 different colors, and that's what D and E are. So on those, you're going to need 10 of each of these at 2.25 inches. And you want 10 of one color and 10 of another. I have a floral and a color. So whatever it is that you choose, you just need to make sure you have 10 of each, okay? And then once you get everything all cut out, you want to make sure that you are putting everything, lay it out. This is the easiest way that I can tell you, instead of trying to sit there and pull a couple of pieces and try to sew those up. So the best way for me to explain this to you is for you to go ahead and lay your pieces out, and you're going to start with, like I started with my floral piece up here in the corner, because this is a block, this is a block. We come down to the center, that is a block, and then we have 2 more blocks. Within these 5 different blocks, we have 4 pieces going into each one. Okay, so now when you lay these out, you want to make sure, however you lay this first block that's up here in my left corner, well, I'm standing here in front of it, it's in my left corner, and you want to, however you lay that out, you want those pieces to be diagonal. Your 2 color pieces diagonal, and I have my 2 prints diagonal. Whatever you set that block up as, you set the other blocks, the other 4 blocks here, exactly that same way. Okay, so see how I have a floral in this corner, and then green Over here I have the floral and green. In the middle I have floral and green, floral, green, floral, green. Okay? And then you're going to take your strips and you're going to put those on each one of the sides that you have, just kind of framing all of that in. And then those little teeny tiny pieces that I have that are yellow, those are going to be your cornerstone for your centerpiece. And I just chose white for my plain blocks. It's actually white on white, but you need something for your four corner or insides there. And just so that you see the difference, but that's how it should be all set up and what it's going to be in the end. Okay, so place that right back there. And then the very first thing that we're going to do, because remember we always dissect. We dissect our blocks. And the very first thing we're going to do are the blocks that have the 4 squares. And how you're going to do that is you're going to just take and you're going to flip whatever's closest to my right, flip it over to the left. The right to the left. Okay? Now, remember last week, I think it was last week, maybe it was the week before. I don't know, they're all running together. But I showed you chain stitching. So this would be a perfect block to be able to do that chain stitching, okay? So I went ahead and kind of went ahead and stitched these all together. And I already have like my little chain piece. So what you can do is you can go through and you can take all of these little squares and lay those over on top of each other just like this, okay? Right to the left, set that aside, right to the left, 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 and right to the left. Okay? So now we can take and we can pick all of these up and take them over to stitch these out. And when you do take them over, I would go ahead and just kind of lay them kind of crossed over so that you just know that those two pieces go together. Okay? And we're going to go ahead, and as long as they just all get stitched appropriately, you should be fine. Okay. And then we'll take them over. I'm just going to set them down here because I do already have some stitched out. And I do want to show you real quick. Today I am using the Emerald 116 machine. It is one of our very basic mechanical machines, and it has 16 stitches to it. However, with this machine, we do not have a straight stitch plate. You cannot get a straight stitch plate for this machine. And so in that case, when you get ready to start stitching, if you do not have straight stitch plate and your machine has the little oval, if you look down where your needle goes down, and it's kind of that little oval area for doing like zigzags and decorative stitches, it's always a good idea to start out with what you call a leader cloth. And so I just have like just a scrap piece of fabric, and then I start that in the machine first, and then I just butt up my fabric when I'm getting ready to start. I just kind of butt that up against there, and that way it does not suck down my fabric, and then you can just keep butting up all your different pieces together. I did have somebody that did ask if I could show again exactly how to do the chain stitch, so I guess I should probably do that one real quick before we go on any further. And for anybody that is still questioning how I do that. Are you able to see really well? Okay. So what I do is I start with my, I'm just taking this little scrap piece right here, okay? This scrap piece of fabric, and I am going to just go ahead and start that through. And then once I get almost to the end here, I am going to take my first piece of my 2 pieces here, and I'm going to set it up where my 1/4 inch marking is. Now if you are using the Fons and Porter, you're using the little ruler here to mark, you can just line up your fabric. If you do not have a 1/4 inch foot and you want to line this up, I'm kind of doing this kind of upside down, and you put your fabric, put this on your fabric with the center part showing, and then you can take your marker and just draw a line right underneath there. That's going to give you your 1/4 inch, okay? So that you can follow your 1/4 inch markings instead of using a 1/4 inch foot if you do not have a 1/4 inch foot. And so I do have a 1/4 inch foot, so I am going to go ahead and just run this through. When I get to the end, I go ahead and I grab my next set. And right now it really doesn't matter how these go in. You're just sewing them because they are all 2.5 or 2 1/4. I'm sorry, 2 1/4 inch squares, and so it doesn't matter which way they go. And we just take, and if you're getting that idea, you see here that they are coming out. There was my leader cloth, okay? And when I do have a straight stitch plate, I don't ever use a leader cloth. But you see how they're starting to come out. And it just saves a lot more time when you are stitching all of these pieces, because then you're not getting up and you know, going over to press and have to, you know, cut and do all of that. But if you just have everything cut, have it laid out, flip it over and bring it over, do it all at the same time, you save yourself so much more time. And the reason why we didn't start that in the very beginning is because we wanted to concentrate on everybody making sure that they were understanding measuring and the importance of properly cutting and of measurements. So now that we've got that under our belt, we can just kind of go through here, and if you look, let me kind of see if I can do this without, if you see how that's all being just stitched one right after another, okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and finish this one off. On this machine, I can pull this out, and I have my cutter right here. So I just cut that and bring it over here, lay that out. Now I am going to show you, because there is one thing I want to make sure that you do understand. When you are going and putting these pieces, so we've got all of these that we just sewed all of these together, right? We open them up and they're just the half of the square. So now we want to make it a whole square. So we have to put 2 of these together. And so what we want to do is we want to open these up and go over to press them. And like I said, now I'm showing you how I actually do my pieces. And you do not have to do these pieces this way. I'm over here. Hello. Hi. Hi. My cameraman's falling asleep on me here. And so we go ahead and we press these down. And like I said, I press mine open so that everything stays flatter. But you do not have to do that. It does take a little more time to be able to stick your finger and, you know, do a little finger press to open it up enough to be able to press it. You don't have to do that. You, if you want to press to the light side, the dark side, the whatever side you want, you are more than welcome to do that. I'm just trying to show you what I do, and I just like the way that it lays a lot better. So now what we want to do, if you recall, when we had these all laying out, so what you will want to do is you'll want to go through and you're going to want to press all of these, okay? You're going to want to press them, bring them back over, and you're going to lay them back down, just the way that you had them laid out in the beginning, okay? Because you want to make sure that you are flipping these on the right side. So before I had my floral in the corner, so all of my other pieces need to have the floral in the corner. And I'm going to take and I'm going to pull this right on top of that, okay? And I need to make sure that I'm going to be stitching on the right side. If I stitch on the wrong side, when I go to open it back up, it's going to be backward. And then what? Well, I guess we just changed our whole block. But you will want to make sure the side that you're going to stitch, which is this side here, so that when this opens up like this, is that right? Why is that not looking right? Goes like that. Here we go. And when I stitch on this part right here, and when I open it up, it's going to be just like this. Okay? So I am going to pin. And now I did have a couple people, if I asked if I could show them again how to pin to get perfect points. Okay? I'm going to show you again. So I need to pin this side. I'm going to open this up just to make sure. See how that's still laying out the right way that I had it before. So I know this is where I need to pin. I am pinning right on top of my seam. Right where I sew. Okay? So I'm going to pin that and I'm pushing it through. And if it's off just a little bit, you can take and move that over just a tad. And then go ahead and find your way back. You still, when you go to flip this again to come back through the second time, it still has to be on top. It has to be right on top of that seam. Where you enter and where you exit has to be right on top of that seam. Okay? And so that's going to make your points turn out to be a perfect point. And then also to help you, if you go ahead, because if you see when you pin, sometimes these pieces, it might go like this. And you need to make sure that is still lined up. And what you can do, if you don't want to hold it the whole time, is just go ahead and pin that piece, and then line this piece back up, just like this, and pin that one. And then you can go over and do your 1/4 inch stitch. Now I went ahead and I have both of my pieces here, and if you see my points, see all pretty points. And we want to go ahead and set this down just like that, because my flowers are up to the left side, left corner, how do I say that? The left top and the bottom right on each one of my blocks, okay? Now, when we get all of these 4 blocks, 5 blocks, we get all 5 of those blocks done, lay them back down, just where they're supposed to be and the way they're supposed to be. And then we're going to move to to our, I guess, what do we want to call those? Our center outside blocks. Does that sound good? Our center outside blocks. Okay, so now with these, we are just going to put, let's say our right hand that is closest to the first strip, and we're going to flip that right on top of that block. We'll take it over and we're going to stitch our 1/4 inch, okay? And then we're going to come over and we're going to grab with our left hand the left strip and flip that over right on top of the block. And we're going to stitch that the 1/4 inch. And then you're going to take that over and you're going to press that. So now we have our block all finished. We're going to lay that down right there, okay? I'm just going to kind of scoot this aside for the moment. So now we have our bottom row, top row, however you want to, bottom to me because I'm standing right in front of it. You're looking at it, so it's the top. So now we're going to move to our next row, which will be the little strips and then the little center cornerstones. And the best way to do this is to take the cornerstone that's closest to your right hand and put that right on top of that center strip, okay? And take the one that's on the left side and flip that right on top, just like that, okay? And then you can go over and you can stitch both of these at the same time. So let's go ahead and stitch that real quick. And we're gonna do them both like we did the chain stitch. And once you learn the chain stitch, once you get to do that, you really appreciate it because it does make things go so much quicker. And okay. And I will tell you that normally what I would do is just go ahead and just stitch all these pieces, chain stitch them all up. But since I'm needing to show these things to you, then I'm doing them little like piece by piece. So we'll come over and we'll go ahead and press. Remember, pressing is very, very important. You should be pressing after each time that you are doing these stitchings. So once you do the chain stitch on all of those blocks, and you would come over and just press all of those open, or if you're flipping from side to side, then you'll flip them however it is that you're gonna, but you're just gonna press them. That's what I'm just trying to make sure that everybody is getting their pressing done. And so then we take this piece back over. So now, see, I've got both of these pieces here, right? And so now I'm going to lay them down, and I've got the piece that goes here in the center of the strips, and I'm just going to flip this over to one of them and take it over. I'm going to go ahead and take my other one too. And we're going to stitch that. Okay. And now you would want to press that again, but since I'm just right here, I'm going to go ahead and attach the other piece. So we have this here. Okay, so we need one in the center, so I'm going to put both of these together so that that's going to be my center, and then those are going to open up. Can you see that okay? So let me go ahead and stitch that. Make sure that you're lined up with your fabric pieces. You don't have any laying funky. Nobody wants no funky pieces. And so now we go over and give that a press. And that way it'll all. Oh, and I did have somebody that asked, what type of iron do I use? And you know what? It's just an iron. It is a Black & Decker Bitessa? How do you say that? Bitessa. Bitessa? I don't know. So it is nothing that is spectacular. It's not anything that's real expensive. So an iron, you know. It gets my job done. So now we have our piece and we're going to lay that down. And that one looks kind of wonky there. I'm going to have to maybe research and look on that one. See, if you look at that, see how it's kind of curved? So you don't want that. But I'm not going to take the time to change it right now. So I'm going to lay that aside. And then I've got my other piece here, so I'm going to lay that down. And then I'm just going to kind of walk you through the next. So with the center parts here, you're going to take and you're going to just flip the closest to the right onto that center outer block. And then this one here, you're going to flip, and then you're going to sew those together. You're going to bring those back over once they're sewn together, and then make sure that you have your block that would be laying there. And then the next row is exactly what we just did right here. Okay, so we're just taking this piece right on top, and this piece right on top. You're going to stitch those together, and then you're going to attach the yellow part from each one of these to the center. And then we're going to take what we did down here in the beginning. We're going to put this right on top, stitch that down, take this one, put that right on top, and stitch that down. Go press it, open it up. Now we're going to take and we're going to construct our block. So now we are going to take what's closest to me, what's closest to you. So your right hand, you're going to take that piece and you're going to flip it, your bottom right corner, flip it right on top of your center block, of your center block that exists there, okay? And you're going to take that over and you are going to stitch that down. Okay. And to get I'm getting into my seams here now, so I need to make sure that my seams all stay down. So I'm using my little, I call it the stiletto, however you want to, whatever you want to call it, but my little pointy guy. Did you see him? My little pointy guy.
Hold on.
See?
Okay.
Yeah. See there? Ah, ah. They are sharp, so you gotta be careful. And then we'll take this over and press. If you have the ironing mat or you have a wool mat and you can have that sitting right next to you while you are sewing, when you are working with these smaller blocks, those are such a huge help so that you're not getting up and down, up and down. But then again, if you always have goodies sitting at your sewing machine like I do, and you sit there and you just kind of snack all day while you're sewing, then you kind of need to get up and down. And so now we bring this back over. So I have my block there stitched to my center, and now I'm going to take and put this one on top of that. And we're going to stitch that one down. I definitely think I will like this block a whole lot better than the one that I made the first time, just because the colors were so light and dulled, it wasn't very appealing to me. So it's always a good idea that, if you don't like it, then, make sure that it's up to you to change it. And stick that down. And also, if you are in the market for just a regular sewing machine, maybe you have some of the big dogs and you're looking for something to take for retreats, or you just want to be able to just use to hem stuff with, or this is really a nice machine. It definitely gets the job done. And let me go ahead and press this open. Okay. All right. And then this is, you'll say the top, I say the bottom of my block, okay? And so then we're going to take and we're going to flip our strip right on top of that. And because I have those seams, you see the seams? You see those? Okay. I have those seams, and we are going to get those all pinned together. And again, line up your fabrics seam to seam. So where you had your stitches, you're doing your center part first. Make sure. And remember to always do your center first and then work your way out. So if you look, I went right into, can you see that okay? I went right into where my stitch line is, and my pin came out right on top of the other stitch line. If it does not come out right on top of that stitch line, you kind of have to wiggle around, kind of finagle to be able to get it. And then I go right back in, you see there? You see that okay? I go right back in to that stitch line and come out on that stitch line. You see that? And that's going to give you that perfect point, okay? I'm going to go ahead and pin these. Sometimes you kind of have to search for it. And if it's not lining up, like I said, on one side, when you get to the other side, then you got to kind of move it around a little bit to get it there. This one's not wanting to match up exactly. Open, I just pulled it out. Okay. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and make sure the rest of these are, and then we're going to get it stitched up here, okay? Okay, so now I have my piece all pinned together, and I go ahead and I do my 1/4 inch stitch. When I get to my pins, go ahead and pull those out. Remember to make sure that you are going right up to the pin before you pull it out, because you could risk getting some slipping going on with your fabric, and you don't want that, because then you got to probably take it out and redo it, and that is no fun. Alright, get down here, And if you have the magic pins, if you're using those, there have been several times I have stitched over those. You know, they say never stitch over the pins. You really shouldn't, but if you happen to with the magic pins, at least the ones that I have, the patchwork, they're very fine, and it doesn't even phase your needle. Okay, and then go ahead, take this over and press it. See what we have. And again, remember, we can press it open, or we can press from one side to the other, just depending on what it is that you're wanting to do. Okay. Just give that a nice press. So we've got several seams that we're working with here, so we want to make sure that those are all pressed down really well. Okay, so I've got my seams all nice and pressed. Okay, and then here is my bottom, top, however you want to say it. So I'm going to go ahead and lay that back down. So then you're going to go ahead and you're going to put your pieces. These are all going to be together. You're going to go ahead and flip the one from the right to the center, and then to the left to the center. Go ahead and get those all put together just the way that the same formation that we've always done. Once you get this line, attach it to this. Once you get this line, well, this will be attached to this, but once you get this line, then attach to the other, okay? And then you will have your completed checkers block, okay? And so that you know, then for next week, we are doing building blocks. And again, I want to just kind of touch and show you, because this was my first building block. Can you see this one okay? The one that's on the bottom. And see how when I put this, there's too much floral and not enough of the contrast color of the yellow. So see how that just kind of drowns that out. So I completely switched and redesigned that block into my teal colors with white. And this is the exact same block, and see the difference in the blocks. I guess I could set it over here. Let's put it over here just so you can see the difference. It's the same block, but see how crazy that difference is? And that's the same with this checker block here, and then the one that I'm currently putting together that we were working on today. So when you see when you see this next week, it's gonna have the one that we just made today. So anyway, the building blocks is our block for next week, and I will put the measurements and everything for that up on Facebook on Friday. It'll also be in the newsletter for next Monday. And let's see what else. Oh yeah, we've got in our little goodie jar today. I have been snacking on my cheesy Ritz crackers. So whoever wins today will get cheesy Ritz crackers. They're pretty good. And a free yard of fabric. So, okay, we're going to have Tim do his job now. And he's going to draw a name. Let's see who he gets. Drum roll, please.
Sherry Schultz.
Sherry Schultz. You won this week's block number 6. You won the cheesy Ritz crackers and the free yard of fabric. So you can come in and pick that up at any time. If you are not local, and you win, please just let me know, and we will ship that out to you, okay? And that makes it to where anybody, if you have any friends, relatives, anybody that is interested in doing the blocks, like I said, I mean, anybody can join, and it's free, as long as you can put up with me. So just make sure, tell your friends, family, join us. We've got a lot of people that just started, and we're halfway through. Hey guys, we're on block number 7, so we've only got 5 blocks left. How exciting is that? And we have a lot of people that are going to finish this. That is really awesome. And then just to give you a heads up, like I said, we've got coming soon our sampler 2, where these are going to be 18, I think it's 18 and a quarter. I keep saying 18 and a half, 18 and a quarter inch blocks. They're 18, they're big. They're going to be great big. But there's a lot more to these. But again, even the beginners are going to be able to do this. If you have done this, this is prepping you to be able to take care of that, okay? So, all right, I guess that's all that we need. I showed pinning. I've got little notes here. And, oh, well, I have people, I try to tell people, you know, I'm not a professional at this. I'm just showing you what I do, and to try to walk you through, give you something to do through all this COVID stuff. And just kind of, we can't be here together like everybody all at once, but it just makes it a lot easier for you to do it inside your home, right? And I guess that's about it. So until next week, guys, have a great week, and we'll see you then next Tuesday. Bye-bye.